Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's table talk will be on honesty. Now, before I start, I want to kind of let everybody know, I say it every now and then, but I want to keep reiterating it. I am not a clinician. I am a patient. So my suggestions and my experiences and me having my putting my real life out there on the table to talk about is coming from a patient's point of view. So when I talk and I suggest and I say things that are in my life, such as hallucinations and delusions and my symptoms itself, I'm not just talking about them, I'm living them. So I just wanted to let you know, I always want to put that out there every now and then. I'm not a clinician, but my table talk always comes from a patient point of view. I think it's about time that we thrive coming from a patient's point of view, letting them know that we're taking those practices and we're personalizing those practices and we're using those practices. And now we are seeing the evidence of a positive thriving because we are doing those things. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there first. For today, it's going to be honesty, because in my components that I use to bring my mind to a balance is one of the components is called self-assessment. I spoke of it before, but when I speak of self-assessment, I never came from an honesty point of view. Being honest with yourself, what does that look like? For me, that's me shining a light on me shining a light on what I need to improve on, me shining a light on the truth, and me shining a light on me telling myself the truth. Because when I wanted to kill myself, I didn't want to admit that I had a problem. I didn't want to admit that I had symptoms that were very delusional. I didn't want to admit that I had things going on to get to the clinician. My intentions for going to the clinician was to get a prescription for psychotic medication so I can kill myself. Little did I know going to my clinician was the best turning point in my life that illuminated me. It made me sit down and take a real good look at myself. And when I sat down to look at myself, guess what I found? I found a lot of broken pieces, a lot of hurt pieces, a lot of pieces that are not put together and I didn't have answer to. You know, why the tragedy at 7 years old? Why the promiscuousness at 9 years old? Why the children as a teenage mom? Why? You know, and then I start to reflect, and then I start to say, okay, now it's time for me to start plugging in the pieces along with the depression and the loneliness and feeling like no one cares. Now it started for me, and I started writing things down. I went all the way back to my trauma, and I started jotting things down. I made a journal, which journeyed me all the way from my childhood up into my present moment, because I needed that. I needed my life to map out the truth. No more covering up saying I'm fine. I work this wonderful job. I feel so great. The friends at my job, they really look up to me. But when deep down inside, I have a hurt feeling, I have a suicide feeling, and I really, I'm not even happy. I'm super sad. I walk around work looking with a fake face. So I had to look in that. I had to expose myself as if I was watching me on a movie screen. And I'm looking at all the flaws that I missed throughout my journey in life. So that was one of the things that was good for me, because now I see what's wrong. Now I can apply a positive antidote to balance me out. Because before, if I didn't see it, I couldn't fix it, I couldn't repair it, or I couldn't apply a positive response to an empathetic moment. For example, at 7 years old, I couldn't explain why my mom didn't explain why the tragedy happened to me and why I was brutally abducted and sexually assaulted. How come no one sat down to talk to me and explain to me, or either, give me some sense of guidance? Well, keep in mind, in the 70s, no one was doing, heavy clinicians and medications and groups back then. But at the same time, I really depended on my mom to be, the informer. But because she told me to be quiet and don't say anything about it, I kind of felt like she had a hand in it. My frame of thinking at that time was, you guys, are you approving this bad behavior? It's only when I got older and I sat down and I shined a light on my life and I start to really see, like, oh, I get it. Her intentions were good because she thought she was still protecting me. Sometimes you have to do the empathy technique. We'll talk about the empathy technique too. Empathy technique means you jump out of your shoes and you jump into your opposer's shoes and you start to see the situation from their perspective. And then you start to have a little more empathy, a little more heartfelt understanding that this happened, but now I'm starting to be a little clearer why it happened and why you did the response you did. It wasn't a bad response. It was, in your opinion, and from your point of view at that time, a good response from the opposer. So empathy technique for me is to jump out of my shoes and into my opposer's shoes to get that point of view. So that was one of the things for honesty. Honesty, you want to illuminate and expose the truth in you. You want the truth in you. So that means only you can tell yourself the truth. You know when you're depressed, right? You know when you're sad. You know when you need to probably pick up a phone and reach out to a clinician who has a textbook perspective on how you can partner with that clinician to get you out of that slump. The whole thing is we want you to bring your mind to a balance. Keep in mind, I'm gonna always say that bringing your mind to a balance means you're back on track. In so many words, bringing your mind to a balance means you can go to the job and your smile is genuine and not fake. Bringing your mind to a balance means you can perform, be a wife, be a husband, be a partner, and it's not. It's almost like you're not in your own skin. It's like somebody else is in your own skin mimicking your life. No, you don't have to do that. You can partner with a clinician and get these truths that you discovered, the truth that you discovered exposed, and let's talk about them and let's bring a positive antidote to those truths. And then we talk about the next one I had is the flaws. Please, this is me. This is me. This is a bad thing for me. I accept my flaws. I accept that I have bipolar 1. I accept that I have PTSD. I accept that I have cluster B personality disorder, which is a basket of fun all on its own. It has antisocialism. It has borderline personality disorder. It has narcissistic disorder, personality disorder, and it has histrionic personality disorder. We'll break those down, all down into pieces. And I'll give you examples of them because I carry all of them. And I accept that I have hallucinations and delusions. And I accept that my mood changed at the drop of the hat. I accept that. Once you start accepting those symptoms, that's when you can jump out and say, I also provide a positive antidote to those flaws as well. So I'm accepting that I got challenges. I also accept that I have positive flaws towards those symptoms. So I also accept that I live on a seesaw. I'm in the middle of a seesaw. Every day of my life, every day I wake up, every day I socialize with my family or friends, I live on a seesaw. Because if I go too far to the left, it's an overdose. If I go too far to the right, it's also an overdose. Because too much of anything is too much. You want to make responsible responses at all times. And that's key. That's key when you're dealing with a mental health issue. And that was definitely one of mine. Staying balanced is hard because you can wake up with a atmosphere trigger. We'll talk about atmosphere triggers. That's the weather. It's just in the air, or you just feel it. I feel like being sad today, and today I'm just sad. That's a trigger. And for people who understand what triggers are, triggers last long. Triggers are not 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Triggers are days, turns into months. Before you know it, you can't take it anymore, and you want to destroy yourself. We don't want to go that far anymore. We are thriving with mental illness. That means we are grabbing our symptoms before it gets that bad, applying positive antidotes, and bringing ourselves back to the middle of that seesaw so we're at a balance. I use seesaw as an example. Then we're going to do, we identify the flaws. We explore. We start to explore. When you're honest, when you're being honest, you start to tap into what works for you. I'm going to suggest all the lovely things that I do every day to bring my mind to a balance. But then you might take what I do and critique it and personalize it towards you, and it works for you. We are going forward on a campaign to whatever makes us better. That's where we're at. Whatever makes us better, whether it's yoga plus goat yoga, whether it's music plus dance, whether it's artisticness, I took up a crocheting class, whatever makes us balance out, where my responses are responsible, I want to do that. Because you know why? Our future's at stake. And I want to live, and I don't want to die. I don't want to take my life and get rid of myself, and I don't have the opportunity to see what my 5-year life plan projection looks like. It looks good now that I know how to apply the positive antidotes. It looks good now. Before, I didn't have that. But now going forward, we have that projection. And now we can say little by little, today is a walk day. I feel like walking. Whether it be on a treadmill, whether it be on a treadmill in my home, whether it be outside in the fresh air, wherever it is, the goal is to complete the task. And that task is, I'm walking for an hour. I'm walking for an hour because it's a part of my future goal. I'm going to do this because it's a part of my future goal. I'm going to get it done because it's a part of my future goal. Because you see what we're doing now? Our language is changing. Our language is changing because now we're looking straight ahead and we're at our seesaw balance and we're saying, I am prepared to go forward because now I have the positive antidote to apply to my symptoms that brings my mind to a balance. So now I can work an 8-hour job and not have my triggers and my episodes take control of my behavior and I respond irresponsibly. Now I got a handle on it and I can take care of my business. I can love my family. I can love myself. So we're going to be going forward on that part too. I'm going to talk more about that because I want us to sink into moving forward so good to the point where we forget that we were even in the past and letting the past take control of us. I want us to say goodbye, bye-bye past, and turn the page and look at that clean sheet of paper. We can create whatever we want to create. And that's what we're going to do going forward. Until next time, stay healthy.